After his girlfriend goes missing, a man quickly begins a new relationship with an alluring waitress. However, the memories of his ex-lover begin haunting the woman, leading her to discover that her disappearance wasn't as simple as it seems. Adrian watches the video that his girlfriend Belen sent him as her way of breaking up. After this, the frustrated man drives to a bar to drown out his sorrows. The waitress, Fabiana, notices his sullen look and points him out to the bartender. The bartender, however, believes that men who cry are usually at fault for whatever happened. At closing time, Adrian leaves the bar but drunkenly bumps into someone. He sees this as a chance to let out his anger, so he starts a fistfight until the other man's girlfriend breaks them apart. Fabiana finds the wounded man on the floor as the couple leaves. Given that he can't even remember where he lives, the waitress drives Adrian to her house instead and lets him sleep on her couch. The following day, Adrian is confused to find himself in the woman's house. Fabiana tries to befriend him, but the man dismisses this and insists on leaving. With that, Adrian goes without even saying goodbye, disappointing the woman. Later, the man goes to rehearsal where he's a conductor for an orchestra. However, his mood is still sour from last night. He goes to the same bar that night to apologize to Fabiana for his behavior. He takes her to the theater the next day to thank her for looking after him. The woman is impressed as he talks about the orchestra, and something sparks between the two. Because of this, Adrian leans to kiss his date, but Fabiana asks first if he's married or in a relationship. He assures her that he's single, so the couple finally kiss and spend the night together. The next morning, Fabiana wakes up and goes to brush her teeth. She stops upon hearing an ominous sound from the pipes but brushes it off. She then explores Adrian's home while he's still asleep and discovers sketches of shoe designs on a desk. Suddenly, the man wakes up and calls her, making her jump. Without acknowledging the sketches she found, he invites her to breakfast. During their meal, Fabiana admires the large house, so Adrian explains that he likes to live away from the city since it's quieter. He then offers to pick her up from the bar later to let her stay the night again. While Fabiana gets ready for work, officers Butrago and Ramirez visit the conductor to inform him that they still have no leads as to where Belen is. The waitress approaches as they talk, and she and Ramirez share a look, which the others don't notice. She learns that Adrian's ex-girlfriend Belen was reported as missing, so the detectives question the man. He reveals that he recently moved into the house with Belen, which is why she had a workstation where her sketches are. When the detectives start searching the premises, Fabiana takes the chance to question her new lover. Adrian assures her that Belen is fine since she left him for another man. The police are just investigating since it's their protocol. That evening, as Fabiana spends another night in his house, she finds Adrian playing the piano by himself. She invites him to bed, but he stays for a while, allowing the woman to bathe first. While in the tub, however, she feels waves in the water despite her not moving. Scared, she bolts up just in time for lightning to cause the power to go out. Adrian finds her and assures her that power outages are common when it rains, so she shouldn't be worried about it. The electricity returns not long after, so the woman relaxes, allowing the couple to get into a romantic mood. The mood, however, is ruined when she notices Adrian's dog, Hans, staring into the closet mirror, so the man shoos the dog away. On another night, Ramirez, who turns out to be Fabiana's ex-boyfriend, visits her at the bar. He worries that she's in a relationship with someone whose ex-girlfriend is missing, warning her that Adrian is a suspect in Belen's disappearance. Fabiana doesn't believe this and thinks her ex is just jealous. The officer shoots back, accusing her of finally bagging a rich man like she always wanted. He thinks this is why she broke up with him, and Fabiana doesn't deny it. Days later, Fabiana takes a shower in Adrian's house when the water suddenly becomes scalding hot. This burns part of her shoulder, and as she checks in the mirror, she hears something in the pipes again. Scared, she backs away, only to get surprised when Hans opens the bathroom door. She carries on with a day alone in Adrian's home, but eventually finds a key with a chain hidden in one of the vents in his bedroom. Curious, she takes the key and wears it around her neck. As she does, a storm shuts the power off again. A shadow passes by her, so Fabiana searches the house, hoping that it's just her boyfriend returning from work. When no one answers her calls, she grabs a fire poker to defend herself, only to get surprised when Hans barks at something. This causes her to trip and knock her head against Adrian's piano. Moments later, her boyfriend tends to the woman. Still scared, Fabiana shares that she thinks there's a ghost in the house. Adrian chuckles at this, so she takes him to the bathroom sink where she hears the strange noises. The man thinks it's just wind going through the plumbing, and when his girlfriend doesn't believe him, he jokingly threatens the ghost from bothering Fabiana. He then urges her to just sleep it off. The next morning, Adrian receives a call from the authorities as they've found a body they believe is Belen's. They want him to identify the body, so he goes to the morgue. There, he finds that the body was burned beyond recognition. Despite not looking at it for long, Adrian asserts that it's not Belen. When the man returns home, he overhears Fabiana saying sorry. However, he finds her in the bathroom alone, so he asks who she was talking to. The woman claims she wasn't talking, then diverts the conversation to what happened in the morgue. Adrian tells her the body wasn't Belen. He then declares that his ex-girlfriend isn't part of his life anymore and what matters to him now is Fabiana. This brings a smile to the woman's face, though as she embraces him, she stares at the mirror with a frown. Months before this, Adrian announced to his girlfriend Belen that he got the job at the orchestra. Belen was happy for him, but this meant that he'd be gone for a year starting in 15 days. To her surprise, the man invited her to join him. After thinking about it for a while, Belen ultimately agreed to join him as long as he took care of her. Soon, the couple moved, and Adrian conducted his first orchestra while his girlfriend watched in excitement. After the performance, Belen caught him talking to the violinist, Veronica. The co-workers nearly said goodbye to each other before Adrian went home with his girlfriend. Belen soon went to view the house that they planned on renting during their stay. The owner, Emma, showed her around and even introduced her to her dog Hans. The woman hardly used the house since she moved to the city and was about to move to Berlin, so she was renting it out. However, she insisted that whoever bought the house also needed to look after her dog. Belen accepted this since she loved dogs, thus earning the owner's trust. Eventually, she and Adrian moved into the house and lived there happily for a while. One day, however, she visited Adrian at his office, only to find him having drinks alone with Veronica. The other woman's guilty expression made Belen more suspicious, so on their drive home, she questioned her boyfriend's closeness to the violinist. He dodged the question and accused her of exaggerating the situation. Undeterred, the woman warned him that there'd be consequences for his actions. As they went to bed that night, Adrian apologized to his girlfriend, which she accepted. Despite this, she still doubted her boyfriend, so she checked his phone while he was in the shower the next morning. What she found left her in tears, so she later confronted him about his calls and messages with Veronica. Adrian admitted that he had flirted with the violinist but swore that nothing had happened between them. When asked why he flirted with Veronica in the first place, Adrian defended that it was normal for everyone. Belen asserted that it wasn't, and her boyfriend just insisted that he loved her and no one else. Seeing that she wasn't convinced, Adrian offered to fire Veronica to appease his girlfriend. Belen took on his bluff and told him to do so, but the man revealed that he couldn't do that. Frustrated, Belen told her boyfriend to leave since she needed to be alone. That afternoon, Emma visited the house. This allowed Belen to vent about how she left her life in Spain to support Adrian, and now he was seeking other women's attention. Full of regret, Belen pondered about how her boyfriend would react if she suddenly died or disappeared. To her surprise, Emma offered a way to test this. The woman revealed the house's secret bunker hidden behind the bedroom's closet. Her husband built it years ago in fear of the war, so it was fully equipped with necessities, including one-way mirrors and a speaker that allowed the tenant to hear what was happening around the house. The place is also soundproof and hermetically sealed. Because of this, Belen couldn't help but think over what she could do with the room after Emma left. She eventually made a decision, so she recorded her breakup video for Adrian that afternoon. She also packed her belongings to make it look like she left but set everything inside the bunker instead. As she did, Adrian arrived earlier than she expected, so she grabbed the key to the bunker and set it over her bag while she quickly wrote a note for her boyfriend. She then grabbed her bag and hurried to the bunker. From there, she watched from the mirror as her boyfriend found the camera and watched her video. The man was confused by her message, so he called her phone and left her a voicemail, asking her to contact him. He then sat on his bed, and Belen was happy to find tears in his eyes. However, he suddenly threw the bouquet he'd bought her against against the mirror in anger. Worried for him, the woman searched her bag for the key. Only then did she realize that she dropped it while getting her bag earlier. Trapped, Belen slammed on the mirror and screamed for her boyfriend. She also tried calling on her phone, but the sealed room kept any sound or signal from escaping. The woman desperately searched for anything to free herself, but to no avail. Her situation finally sank in, and Belen could only cry. As her boyfriend finally started grieving over losing her, Belen couldn't do anything but hope that he'd find and rescue her. Days after this, Adrian filed a missing persons report for Belen out of worry. During this, Belen continued searching through the items in the bunker, leading her to discover that Emma's husband was a soldier for the previous German Führer. There were expired canned goods in the bunker, and after days of being trapped, she had no choice but to consume them. She also saw Adrian still mourning for her leaving him, only to find him uttering a farewell, indicating that he had decided to move on. This angered Belen, so as he was washing up in the bathroom, she kicked the pipe below her. This sent a ripple to the sink on Adrian's side, giving her an idea of how to communicate with her boyfriend. However, the man didn't notice the waves and just left for the bar. The following night, Belen watched as Adrian spent time with Fabiana. This broke her heart, more so as the sound of their evening echoed through the speakers in the bunker. The next day, as Fabiana was about to brush her teeth, Belen yelled at her over the sink on her side out of anger. To her surprise, the woman leaned forward as if hearing her voice. Belen immediately started screaming for help over the sink, hoping the woman would understand her. However, Fabiana dismissed the sound and continued with her day. Belen continued to attempt to communicate through the pipes, creating the strange waves on the water that Fabiana kept seeing. When that didn't work, the trapped woman looked into the house's blueprints and discovered that she could control the shower's water heater from her side, thus letting her scald Fabiana's shoulder one day. Later, Belen saw the woman finding the key inside the vent. Again, she desperately called out to the woman, but Fabiana just wore the key around her neck, unaware of what it was for. She also overheard how Adrian was called in to identify a body. What the man didn't see at the time was that Fabiana smiled at her reflection as he left. Thinking that the woman was happy with the idea that she was dead, Belen cursed at her. While Adrian was away, Fabiana got curious about the ripple she'd been seeing, so she turned the tap on the sink and waited for it to happen. Belen used this chance to communicate, and Fabiana instructed her when to begin and stop, thus confirming that the waves weren't coincidences. This scared the woman, but she continued and confirmed that someone was causing the ripples. After multiple tries, Fabiana learned that Belen was trapped but that it wasn't Adrian's fault. With Hans barking at the closet mirror, the woman figured out that the door was behind it. Fabiana quickly investigated the closet, discovered the keyhole, and figured out that the key she found would unlock the door. After much thought, however, the woman decided not to free Belen. Instead, she returned to the bathroom and apologized, having decided that she couldn't risk losing the life she was enjoying with Adrian. This was when Adrian returned and overheard her. Belen could only scream in the mirror as Fabiana had abandoned her. The day after these events, Fabiana moves their items out of the master bedroom, glancing at the closet mirror where Belen is before leaving. During this, Ramirez approaches Adrian to report that he's now handling Belen's case. He also threatens him from harming Fabiana, revealing his suspicion of the conductor. That evening, Fabiana works at the bar when the bartender checks in on her relationship. Adrian's time in the orchestra is soon over, so he'll be moving back to Spain. Fabiana is unsure if she'll go with him, but when her friend wonders if the ex-girlfriend will turn up, the woman suddenly feels guilty. Because of this, she checks on Belen upon arriving home, but the woman doesn't respond. This leaves her worried. When Adrian returns home, he's confused that his girlfriend moved them to the guest room. Fabiana lies that it's because the bathroom there works better. The next day, Ramirez visits the house while Adrian is away to give his ex-girlfriend an envelope containing photos of Adrian with Veronica. This breaks Fabiana's heart, unaware that Adrian has just broken up with Veronica during rehearsal. Due to guilt and her growing doubts over their relationship, Fabiana finally decides to open the door to check in on Belen. She finds the woman unconscious, much to her horror. After checking if she's still alive, Belen suddenly slams a bottle against her head, knocking the woman out. She then retrieves the key and rushes out of the bunker, trapping Fabiana inside. After not seeing sunlight for days, Belen gazes out the window and slowly relishes in her freedom. the phone suddenly rings, and a lawyer from Berlin leaves a voicemail, informing the tenants that Emma has passed away. This leaves Belen and Fabiana the only people who know about the bunker. Hours later, Adrian returns home and finds the place empty, except for the bunker's key on his bed and a photo of him and Belen stuck to the closet mirror. Meanwhile, his ex-girlfriend watches the sunset by the beach while Fabiana is now trapped in the bunker with little hope of rescue.
Subscribe to watch more videos like this, turn on notifications and leave a like to help the channel out. Thank you for watching.